this is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
Support for the show comes from Public, the investing platform for those who take it seriously. On Public, you can build a multi-asset portfolio of stocks, bonds, options, crypto, and now generated assets, which allow you to turn any idea into an investable index with AI. It all starts with your prompt. From renewable energy companies with high free cash flow to semiconductor suppliers growing revenue over 20% year over year, you can literally type any prompt and put the AI to work. It screens thousands of stocks, builds a one-of-a-kind index, and lets you backtest it against the S&P 500. Then you can invest in a few clicks. Generated assets are like ETFs with infinite possibilities, completely customizable and based on your thesis, not someone else's. Go to public.com/podcast and earn an uncapped 1% bonus when you transfer your portfolio. That's public.com/podcast. Paid for by Public Investing. Brokerage services by Open to the Public Investing Inc. Member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services by Public Advisors LLC, SEC registered advisor. Generated assets is an interactive analysis tool. Output is for informational purposes only and is not an investment recommendation or advice. Complete disclosures available at public.com/disclosures.
Tired of spills and stains on your sofa? Wash away your worries with Anabay. Anabay is the only machine washable sofa inside and out, where designer quality meets budget-friendly prices. That's right, sofas start at just $699. Enjoy a no-risk experience with pet-friendly, stain-resistant, and changeable slip covers made with performance fabric. Experience cloud-like comfort with high-resilience foam that's hypoallergenic and never needs fluffing. The sturdy steel frame ensures longevity, and the modular pieces can be rearranged anytime. Shop WashableSofas.com for up to 60% off site-wide, backed by a 30-day satisfaction guarantee. If you're not absolutely in love, send it back for a full refund. No return shipping or restocking fees. Every penny back. Upgrade now at WashableSofas.com. Offers are subject to change, and certain restrictions may apply.
People don't listen to radio ads. While you're driving or making a sandwich, your subconscious pays full attention. So relax. Let it take over.
Sunday makes yard care simple with a custom plan based on your soil, climate, and yard size. No pesticides, no harsh stuff.
Custom Sunday Lawn Plan.
Order today and get your
Custom Sunday Lawn Plan.
ready for the season ahead. Sunday, a smarter, healthier yard.
We've been endorsing Pure Talk since our show launch. We wanted to work with a wireless company that shares our values. Pure Talk is veteran-led, and they've donated over $500,000 to America's Warrior Partnership to help prevent veteran suicide.
They're also creating American jobs with a U.S.-only workforce, and we love the service. Pure Talk gives you the same towers and same 5G coverage as one of the big guys, just at a fraction of the price.
Go to puretalk.com/buck and switch to Pure Talk today. Welcome in, everybody, to the Tuesday edition of the Clay, Travis, and Buck Sexton Show. Much to discuss with all of you. We have, of course, the deadline of 8 Eastern time tonight for Iran. They either concede to the Trump administration demands or Trump will unleash hell. In fact, what he has said more specifically is he is going to, go after them in a very big way, including civilian infrastructure, things like power. So he is turning up the heat considerably for the regime to open the strait and concede to demands about the nuclear program. We will discuss that, of course, today, get into some of those details. J.D. Vance in Hungary, place that has gotten a lot of attention in conservative circles for years now because it is a country under the Orban government, at least, that had taken on some particularly social conservative policies in the past. We'll have some highlights of what JD said there. And we've also got some updates on the Artemis 2 program, talking about the spaceship, or we call it a shuttle, I guess, a ship. It's both, really.
Yeah.
Either one works. It's a ship. It's not a UFO. It's a spaceship. It's a shuttle. That works. We'll talk about Artemis 2, what that means, and the future of space exploration and space commercialization. But something that I just wanted to throw into the mix yesterday, Trump revealed, we didn't get to this. This is cut 6. Clay, before we talk about where this is all going with Iran, I feel like the whole world, in a sense, is waiting to see what happens with this negotiation. There's a big red line that Trump has drawn here. But in advance of that, something we didn't get to yesterday, we wanted to. This is cut 6. Trump said that Kim Jong-un had a very particular word that he used for Joe Biden. This is cut 6. Listen to this.
To protect them from North Korea, we have 45,000 soldiers in South Korea to protect us from Kim Jong-un, who I get along with very well, as you know. Do you notice he said very nice things about me? He used to call Joe Biden a mentally retarded person, okay? So don't tell me about your stuff. Joe Biden, he said he's a mentally retarded person. He was so nasty to Joe Biden. It was terrible. But to me, he likes Trump. And do you notice how nice things are with North Korea? It's very nice.
Clay, so put aside what one thinks of Kim Jong-un saying this about Biden. I would say this. Most people that I speak to and that I see weighing in on this Iran war, they really are just, their faith is in Trump to bring it across the finish line and end this thing before there's a lot of downside that we feel in this country and our allies feel, a lot more than what we've already witnessed for sure. And it's worth noting that Joe Biden was the commander-in-chief, at least technically, for 4 years. Somebody not of sound mind and completely incapable and not even intelligent particularly at all before his dementia set in. So I think this is one way of saying you can trust in Trump on this one and see how he brings this thing through.
Yeah, look, first of all, I didn't think they would have the gall, anyone, to say, oh, we've got a 25th Amendment him now after for 4 years they let Joe Biden bumble and stumble his way around and were even willing to accede to his ability to run for re-election, which is even crazier. Look, Trump is bombastic. He is often outrageous in many of his public pronouncements on social media. I thought we were past the point, Buck, of people losing their minds over Trump's social media posts, but evidently we are not. And so he threatened and has set an 8 p.m. deadline. And as part of that deadline, he has basically threatened to end the civilization of Iran.
Yes.
Which
the quote, this is what I was looking for. Yeah. Trump warns Iran, quote, whole civilization will die, end quote, yes, if deadline not met. That's pretty intense.
That's intense, but it's also very Trumpian. And so, look, Trump is going to, I believe, take this aggressively in the up to and including potentially extending this deadline. We will see. I think we are going to get some form of resolution sooner rather than later because I think Trump has decided, that he is in favor of getting the Strait of Hormuz open and believes that he can negotiate with the existing Iranian leaders. I think that's where his game plan is. And he is trying to, in the meantime, extract the maximum amount of negotiating leverage that he can. And he knows that all of the Iranians monitor every single thing that he says on social media. And that's what this story is. So I just sometimes, Buck, am befuddled. I would understand if this were still 2016 and Trump had only been a political figure for a year and people were still trying to grapple and figure out exactly what the intent of these messages is. But the intent is quite clear. It is that he is going to try to get maximum negotiation leverage. Now, the argument I think you can make against this is not that Trump is going to suddenly start nuclear war or something like that. It's that by making all of these outlandish threats that he actually doesn't gain that much negotiating leverage or as much as he thinks he does because he's been doing it for a decade now. That's to me the counter.
I don't see Iran bending the knee right now over this. I just don't see it happening. That's just my prediction. I could be wrong. They've gotten, at some point, I think the regime feels like, well, what do we have left to lose? And I think the answer is they think that they are backed into a corner and do anything they can now and they'll suffer through anything. They have already rejected yesterday a temporary ceasefire that was offered if they would just open the Strait of Hormuz. And the Iranians, Clay, this has been in every analysis, whether you're writing a grad school paper or you're in the, most deep, dark bowels of the Pentagon, strategy files. Everyone knows the Strait of Hormuz is a strategic choke point for global oil. And that's what Iran has been really holding over the world for a long time, more than anything else. More even, I think, in some ways than the threat of a nuclear program. Because we know they can do this, and we know that this is something that can start to have major economic impact. So Iran said no to that. And now the Iranian regime, to the degree that we can get insight into this, the state of the negotiations, they want a permanent ceasefire. They want full sanctions relief, and they are not willing to make any nuclear or other concessions. So the Iranians are taking a pretty hard line negotiating posture at this point in response to where we are. Hitting critical infrastructure, if that is where Trump goes with this, when he said, like, we're going to, annihilate your civilization or something like that, that can actually backfire on you a bit, because then the people of Iran start to say, well, hold on a second. Why are we all being punished? They know it's not us. That's a consideration that I know that Trump and the team have, but it's a big one to work through.
Yeah, look, I mean, the quote is, a whole civilization will die tonight, which is so cinematic and apocalyptic. I read that as, I will kill a lot of the Iranian leaders, and you should be aware that your civilization is going to cease to exist, meaning the way that you run Iran is going to cease to exist. Regardless, the goal is to terrify people in Iran that are still in power, that if they are in any way recalcitrant when it comes to negotiating with President Trump, that there will be consequences. And look, what did we say, Buck, a couple weeks ago? To me, the off-ramp here is the challenging part. I don't think there's any doubt that we have severely curtailed and diminished Iran's ability to in any way inflict harm upon anyone in the Middle East or around the world. I think you would have to be a moron to argue against that. So the question is, to what extent is there an off-ramp here where Trump can claim, hey, we have reached a resolution, we've reached a cinematic conclusion in a way that he is able to declare victory and walk away? To me, that is the question of what is that off-ramp? What to him is a victory that he can claim? The Strait of Hormuz being reopened obviously is a very tangible one. The price of oil and gas would drop overnight, probably $30, and get us back down close to where we were before this all started. So I don't know that Iran, to your point, is willing to give that at this point. So what kind of negotiating victory is out there on the table that the president can take? By the way, Trump is very good at going out and claiming victory even when it's not necessarily a transcendent victory, right? So I think there are probably off-ramps that Trump can take that would allow him to say, we have changed our objectives. Now it's time to ramp down everything that's been going on in Iran.
Well, what he really wants is the Strait to reopen, which has been made clear by his Truth Social post, and everybody can see that. And that's because of the economic impact on the global oil markets, which has an enormous possibility, at least, of affecting domestic politics here at home in an election year. Because remember, the price shock can be a little delayed from all of this, too. I know we're seeing prices rise already, but it could be, there are things like, Amazon, I think, is even raising its prices on some vendors because of the increase in oil, right? For
yes,
doing fulfillment for them and products. 50% of oil globally, something like 50%, is not used to go into vehicles and for transport. It's actually used in products. So a lot of things that you buy are petroleum-based products, and those prices over time will also rise from all of this. So this is about Iran trying to use economic pain as its leverage to get Trump to back off, and Trump just continuing to pound the Iranian military and let's be honest, the Iranian infrastructure now, if that's what he does tonight, and say, have you had enough? Have you had enough punishment? I'm not sure that the answer to that, Clay, is going to be yes.
Yeah.
These people are wacko. I mean, the ones calling the shots here, they're, I know we've said, we've taken out so much of their leadership. Yeah, but even the second rung of leadership there, it's not good.
Well, they're kind of in a tough spot, right? Because if you are too conciliatory with the United States at this point, you might get killed in Iran. Right? So you talk about between a rock and a hard place. If you're too aggressive with the U.S., we take you out. If you're too conciliatory with the U.S., then Iran takes you out. So you want to talk about the delicate dance that Iranian leadership that is trying to govern this country has to follow right now. That is quite difficult.
I think right now, if there's an 11th hour deal, which we are now less than 8 hours away from the deadline hitting here. If there's an 11th hour deal, Clay, I think it will be Iran has agreed to a temporary ceasefire and the opening of the strait with nuclear negotiations and other concessions to follow. And that would be what it looks. It will not be they will not do an abject surrender, but if they give Trump the Strait of Hormuz, that will be enough to avoid the end of their civilization strike that is supposed to come tonight.
Yeah, I would also say the Strait of Hormuz can be a trust but verify situation that's very easy to test. If Iran says the Strait of Hormuz is open now, we're going to allow transit, and it doesn't occur, then you have a pretty good sign that you've been lied to. There is an easy test scenario. Now, the challenge is you have to convince some of these ship owners that have loaded up their ships with oil. I mean, Buck, would you want to be on one of those ships right now? Would you want to be in the Strait of Hormuz on a completely like millions of barrels of oil?
A very large personal check to me to get me to go ride on one of those.
Might be a little hard to sleep if you're in the Strait of Hormuz.
Also,
right
being
now.
on an oil tanker that gets hit by a missile would be that's a really bad place to be.
No,
even if it's not like immediate catastrophic damage, which it could be, you wouldn't want to have that situation. That's for sure. All right, here's a question, an important one. How many insurance brokers does it take to insure your business? If you're like most business owners out there, the answer is way too many. Multiple policies, so many applications, and here's the thing: no clear view of how it all fits together. And when there are questions, where do you go to get clarity? Who can answer those questions? Well, this is where Supershore comes in. Supershore changes all that. There's one broker for all your business insurance, backed by a team that works with you year round and not just at renewal time. If you've ever stared at a policy wondering what it covers, Supershore has a fine print facts tool that translates the legal jargon into plain English so you know exactly what's covered and what's not. For every business owner in this audience, we've been waiting to introduce you to Supershore and all they can do for you. Go online to supershore.com, get a full report on your current policies with no obligation. I've seen their tech firsthand. I was part of the beta test stuff. I've seen what they're up to. It's incredible. They have it all brought together for you. It's so user friendly. So for all the business owners out there, we have so many small business owners in this audience, so many people that are involved in getting business insurance. Go to Supershore because you can find out if you're overinsured, underinsured, or somewhere in between. Supershore.com. It's one super agency, one powerful platform, all your policies in one place. Go to supershore.com. That's supershore.com. Paid for by Supershore Insurance Agency, LLC, a licensed insurance agency.
Common sense never sounded so good. Clay and Buck owning the airwaves.
Support for the show comes from Public, the investing platform for those who take it seriously. On Public, you can build a multi-asset portfolio of stocks, bonds, options, crypto, and now generated assets, which allow you to turn any idea into an investable index with AI. It all starts with your prompt. From renewable energy companies with high free cash flow to semiconductor suppliers growing revenue over 20% year over year, you can literally type any prompt and put the AI to work. It screens thousands of stocks, builds a one-of-a-kind index, and lets you backtest it against the S&P 500. 100. Then you can invest in a few clicks. Generated assets are like ETFs with infinite possibilities, completely customizable and based on your thesis, not someone else's. Go to public.com/podcast and earn an uncapped 1% bonus when you transfer your portfolio. That's public.com/podcast. Paid for by Public Investing. Brokerage services by Open to the Public Investing Inc. Member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services by Public Advisors LLC, SEC registered advisor. Generated assets is an interactive analysis tool. Output is for informational purposes only and is not an investment recommendation or advice. Complete disclosures available at public.com/disclosures.
Life gets messy. Spills, stains, pet accidents, and kid chaos. But with Anabay, cleaning up is easy. Our sofas are fully machine washable, inside and out, so you never have to stress about messes again. Made with liquid and stain-resistant fabrics, that means fewer stains and more peace of mind. Designed for real life, our sofas feature changeable fabric covers, allowing you to refresh your style anytime. Need flexibility? Our modular design lets you rearrange your sofa effortlessly. Perfect for cozy apartments or spacious homes. Plus, they're earth-friendly and built to last. That's why over 200,000 happy customers have made the switch. Upgrade your space today. Sofas start at just $699. Visit washablesofas.com now and bring home a sofa made for life. That's washablesofas.com. Offers are subject to change and certain restrictions may apply.
Get ready for the wildest sight your lawn has ever seen. Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. This spring, unleash soil science like never before. Witness your custom lawn plan and the transformation to a soft green paradise.
Sorry, just trying to get your attention. Sunday is a boringly simple way to get a green, healthy yard. No harsh stuff, no big trucks, no chaos. Order today and get your custom Sunday yard plan for the season ahead. Sunday, smarter lawn care for less. GetSunday.com.
Ever wonder how to make hosting look effortless? Here's a secret. Getting ahead of the mess with new Reynolds Kitchens countertop prep paper. Just lightly wet the counter beforehand so the paper grips and stays in place. Then lay down the Reynolds Kitchens countertop prep paper so drips and spills stay on the paper, not all over your kitchen counter. You can roll out dough, prep a party spread, or cook alongside family. When you're done, cleanup is as simple as lifting the paper and revealing that clean counter underneath. Effortless. You can use it for cooking and baking prep and even crafting, especially when you need extra working space. Because when the mess is already handled, you can focus on what matters: the food, the people, and the moment. It may look effortless, but now you know it's Reynolds Kitchens countertop prep paper. Take a tip from me: wet it, set it, prep it, done. Make it easy. Make it with Reynolds Kitchens countertop prep paper. Available now in the Reynolds Wrap aisle in Walmart.
Welcome back in. Hour number 2, Clay Travis, Buck Sexton show as we wait for the deadline. 8 p.m. Eastern. On bated breath. People are in my mentions. I just jumped in on social media, Buck. We're going to take some of your calls. We got a bunch of different interesting calls here. But they're saying Trump is going to drop a nuclear bomb on Iran. I will wager any amount of money that anybody out there listening has that we will not drop a nuclear bomb on Iran. And I feel very, very confident about this. But if some of you have lots of money that you want to put on the line here, I think your brains are broken if you are arguing, oh my God, Trump is going to drop a nuclear bomb on Iran. But there's actually a lot of people out there, Buck, arguing Trump will drop a nuclear bomb on Iran. Markets, by the way, actually pretty calm. The oil market not moving very much at all. The stock market not moving very much at all. There is a sort of genuine, I think, comfort that nothing crazy is going to happen, and we will see at 8 p.m. Eastern tonight, or maybe before. I will mention Todd Blanche, who is the acting attorney general, is having a press conference right now at the Department of Justice. We are monitoring that, being covered live by Fox News. He is the acting attorney general replacing Pam Bondi, and we will update you if any major news comes out of that. But, Buck, we got a bunch of callers here, and I thought they had several different interesting takes here. Taylor, I'll start with Taylor. Taylor is from Columbus, Ohio. He says he voted for President Trump 3 times, that you are an independent, but that you are upset at both Buck and me because we are not tough enough on Trump. Taylor, you have the floor from Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah, I actually think you guys are way better than anybody else in conservative media because you actually will call a spade, which is why I keep listening to you guys. But it just feels like every time I turn on the other guys, Fox News, it's just one big cheerleading gush fest. And I'll tell you, it's people like me who came out in droves in 2024 and gave Trump and the GOP a total mandate. And you hit it on the head last segment. If the Democrats were to get a mandate like that, like what we saw Trump get in 2024, They would steamroll this country with the agenda. And I got to say, guys, Pam Bondi was an utter disaster. Kristi Noem, total disaster. All this COVID fraud, all this Medicare fraud, Somali fraud, election fraud, it's been totally forgotten about seemingly by this administration. Now we're facing a war that if this goes off the rails with Iran, I'm telling you, people in my generation do not have a stomach for this. I'm asking you guys because I think you're the best at what you do on this side of things. Who is holding the Trump administration accountable? Because we are the ones who gave him this mandate. And I'll tell you, there are millions of people like me who at this point are thinking of sitting this one out in the midterms.
So
I want to see how this Iran thing plays out. But I think someone needs to get in Trump's ear and say, hey, we gave you this mandate. You need to start delivering on these things.
So here's what I would say, Taylor. First of all, really appreciate the call and also the words of support for the show, because it means a lot to us, because Clay and I, especially in the internet ecosystem, we're very fortunate, thanks to iHeart, that we're on almost 600 radio stations, but also we operate in the online space like other people do. And these days, the way to get attention and clicks in the online space on the right is to just be insane. It's to just be completely nuts. Say wild stuff, no accountability, make crazy predictions, say, I will bet my career that space aliens will land tomorrow. They will rip off their humanoid faces. They will be lizards, and they will say we are actually all obeying Hillary Clinton. Like, I can say that, and that's interesting, but then tomorrow comes, and I would hope that the audience would hold me to account, but that doesn't happen anymore on the right. So I'll put that out there first and foremost. So I appreciate you and others, because they're choosing to listen to this show instead of some of the crap that's out there, make those distinctions. So thank you. And I really mean this from the bottom of my heart. It speaks well to your discernment and your intellect. Okay. So there's that. Beyond that, everything that you've said, I think, is completely fair. I'm, maybe too nice sometimes about people, especially if I think they're well intentioned. I think it's a general thing in my analysis that maybe is, in political commentary could be a shortcoming, quite honestly. If I feel like someone's a good person, look, Kristi Noem shot her dog. She got there was no quarter, no benefit from me after that thing, okay? I didn't like that, and we had that out on the show, and everyone knows how I feel about it. And among other things, by the way, not just the dog shooting. But so with Pam Bondi, I think I go a little soft. Her record was not good in her first year. It just wasn't. But then again, I'm saying that, right? So that's where I would come down on that. But on the most important thing, and Trump, I want to hand this to you, because I think our callers hit, this is what's so critical right now, because if it goes wrong, it goes wrong in the midterms. If the midterms goes wrong, the Trump agenda's over. Okay? The party's over, folks. It's gonna get ugly after the midterms if we lose the House, and certainly if we lose the House and the Senate. Clay, it's like Trump is the chief poker player, and he has put a whole mound of chips in the middle of the table on this Iran thing. If he wins, if he gets this done, I mean, that's amazing. So I'm not going to hit a guy. I'm not going to come after a guy for it's a big gamble, a big bet before we know what's happened. Now, would I have made the bet? No, but I'm not Donald Trump, and I'm not the commander in chief. Him putting all these chips on the table this way, Clay, to me, if it comes back a big win, great. If it comes back snake eyes, we will hold the administration to account as much as we can here. And, God help our country, because we're going to have some tough conversations ahead when Democrats take control, because that's what I see happening. What do you think?
So I have obviously a lot of thoughts, and fortunately we have a big show so we could share most of them. Look, I think Trump, if you want to criticize him, has been trying to fix too many things simultaneously. There's a lot of broken things out there. I think we also live in an era where whatever Trump does, there is a concerted opposition of people that's brains are broken that are lined up to convince you that it's the worst thing they've ever seen. Right now, we have been at war with Iran for 6 weeks. 13 American soldiers have died. I wish that we had lost no life at all in this event with that we're currently in with Iran. But that is one of the most successful operations of war in the history of the United States. Joe Biden couldn't leave Afghanistan without 13 people dying. 40 plus people have died and been murdered in Chicago since this war started. If you had to choose whether you wanted to be an American soldier fighting in Iran or just a regular American living in some neighborhoods on the south side of Chicago, it's almost to the point, seriously, where the danger on the south side of Chicago is higher than the danger in the skies above Iran.
To be fair, Clay, though, people would say, you know, if you live in Chicago, you have to live where you live. We didn't have to start an air campaign against Iran, right? So so their position isn't that it's so few casualties or whether it is few or not. The position of those who are upset with Trump is it should be zero. We should not have lost a single American life in this.
Well, and that goes to the argument of whether you trust Trump with the decision that he has made in Iran. I see all of these connected. I see Venezuela, I see Cuba, I see Iran connected directly. And I think Trump is seeing governments that are opposed to basic human rights and freedom that are close to toppling, and he has decided he's going to take them out while he can. Now, Venezuela seems to be going fantastically well. There's almost zero discussion about what's going on in Venezuela. That's a sign that things are going really well. Cuba, if we hadn't allowed Russia to deliver a couple of ships there, basically wouldn't have been able to even continue to exist as a country. We can, at any point in time, I believe, decide what's going to happen in Cuba. With Iran, Trump believes, and again, you don't have to sign on to this, although I do think there's some cogency to this, that because of the power of Iran to control so much of the flow of oil and gas, that there is basically a surcharge on what oil and gas costs because of their government and the fact that they can't be relied upon. And as a result, he believes that if there is a more stable government, that we do not worry about having nuclear weapons, that things will be better for American commerce in the years ahead. To me, again, this is overreach. The easiest thing for Trump to have done was just show up, not really rock the boat very much. And as a result, there wouldn't be these risks that he's taking. And this, I think, is the number one way to really sum it up. I think Trump sees what happened with North Korea, and I think Bill Clinton regrets the way that he handled North Korea, and Trump wants to solve the problem of Iran potentially having nuclear weapons. If we could go back in time, I bet if we got Bill Clinton on this program, and other than sexual relations with Monica in the White House, right, of the decisions that Bill Clinton made that were directly related to American foreign policy, I bet, I went back and read all about this, Buck, I bet he wishes that Jimmy Carter hadn't parachuted into North Korea. For those of you who forgot how this all went, Clinton was all prepared to attack North Korea and try to wipe out their nuclear ambitions. And then Jimmy Carter said, I'm going to go meet with the North Koreans and I'll get us a deal. And he did that, and he went in, and the deal was that North Korea was never going to have nuclear weapons. And Buck, what did they do? They got nuclear weapons. It is both eminently rational for North Korea and for Iran to want nuclear weapons because it guarantees the government will be in power forever, and eminently rational for countries like ours to want Iran to not join North Korea and to keep them from ever having nuclear weapons. Trump could have punted on this whole thing, Buck. He could have just said, hey, I'm out in 29. We'll let the rest of the world deal with whether Iran has nuclear weapons in the future. I think Trump is genuinely trying to fix things for generations that he's not going to live to see. And that is a substantial overreach and ambition and intent. And if it doesn't pan out, to your point, He's put a lot of chips in the table, and some people are going to say he should have just left Iran alone. North Korea's got nuclear weapons. What do we care? What do we care if Iran gets nuclear weapons? I think there's some people who would say that.
I just feel like there are a lot of people who are declaring this amazing or awful when they don't know the score. We don't know. And so how can you be in a position that's just people looking for a way to justify their own view of Mideast policy, their own view of Trump. There is still a possibility here of, I think it's a probability, better than 50-50. I wouldn't say it's a sure thing, that Trump manages to completely change the trajectory of the Middle East and put an end to the Middle East can never be stable. It's just like a perpetual warfare, jihadists blow themselves up, crazy zone. Okay? There's a possibility that he changes that trajectory in a way that is a once in a lifetime opportunity. There's also a possibility that this thing continues to be a little bit of a mess, and maybe he does more damage to Iran. Maybe he lands some U.S. troops on the shores of Hormuz because they won't open Hormuz. Maybe we take some more losses and things get uglier and worse. And he gets absolutely shellacked in the midterms for this. And then we will know that it was not a good gamble. Right?
Yes.
We don't know yet. And I'm just trying to be honest with you about this. There's some people that want us to say it's amazing. Some people want us to say it's terrible. We talk about what has happened and what we think is happening, but tomorrow is going to be very different from today in terms of the scoreboard for Iran. I know, I'm sorry that it's a war and it's not a game, but in terms of the wisdom or lack thereof of this entire operation, we'll see what happens with this red line tonight. But because this is serious stuff, I don't think it's intellectually honest to just get dug into one side and either take out the pom-poms or take out the sledgehammer and pretend like that's being fair to the situation. I do have faith, Clay, still that Trump will pull this thing out. If he doesn't, we will say that this was a blunder and it will be apparent to everyone then. But I feel like prejudging the outcome from our perspective doesn't do any. What's the point of that?
I'll just give you this prediction for tonight. If Trump announces that there's a deal, the same people who said he's going to nuke Iran are going to be upset and say the deal isn't good enough. Just a prediction, like what perspective of reasoned analysis could lead you to he's going to nuke Iran to if he doesn't nuke Iran and he announces a peace deal, they're going to say the peace deal isn't good enough. I can tell you exactly what their reaction is going to be.
I would rather be wrong in my analysis or my assessment and have good things happen for America than the other way around. Unfortunately, not a lot of people in our business are acting like that recently because whatever happens, they're kind of rooting against Trump on this one. And I mean from the right. And to me, that's something that we would never tolerate in terms of the commentary from Democrats without the harshest of rejoinders. But there are people that just want to be right about this thing, which means they hope that Trump fails. So
and a lot of troops die. And a lot of troops die. Like they would celebrate if 50 American troops died in the next 10 minutes.
If you want to hammer Trump after this thing turns into a debacle, yeah, and that's why we have elections. And yeah, then we'll know. But to make predictions and then claim that you're on the side of the angels here when your predictions are all of calamity, I don't understand that.
Protect yourself and your family in your home with as many different methods as you can, including if you have young kids or maybe you're just not very comfortable with weaponry. How about non-lethal options? Sabre can make the devices that do just that. We've got all of Sabre products in our house. If you haven't done so already, now's a good time to secure your home with the Sabre Home Defense Launcher. They make several kinds, some that look like pistols, others that look like rifles. We own them. We know how easy they are to use. We've got them in our home. Sabre Home Defense Launcher delivers 7 powerful impact pepper projectiles, 2 more than most competitors, and when fear hits and you have to defend yourself, having extra stopping power can change everything. Again, maybe you got young kids in your household. Maybe you got teenagers coming and going at different hours. Maybe you're afraid of what they might find if they get into your drawers. You don't want there to be a gun there, but you do want to have something to protect yourself. That's what Sabre does. They also have pepper gels, stun guns, all sorts of different products that could help your family be safe. You got kids going off to school, if you got kids that are working jobs and they're back and forth at different hours. When safety matters, America chooses Sabre. the number one brand trusted by police and millions worldwide. Sabre is how it's spelled, S-A-B-R-E, sabreradio.com. That's S-A-B-R-E radio.com, 844-824-SAFE.
News, politics, sports, and a little fun thrown in too. Clay and Buck, it's a whole vibe.
Welcome in, everybody. Third hour of the Clay, Travis, and Buck Sexton show gets going right now. And, Clay, I thought this would be a fun one to do instead of just focusing relentlessly on Iran, which we are very much dialed into, but there's only so much that can be said about it right now. We know we have an 8 p.m. Eastern deadline tonight laid out by President Trump, in which he said, more or less, concede to the Trump administration's demands, Iranian regime, or your civilization will be ended. On the other side of things, the other side of the world, the other side of the moon, perhaps, Artemis 2, here is Trump. This is cut 8. He is greeting the Artemis 2 crew after they have returned from behind the far side of the moon. Here's how it went, play 8.
Hello, very special hello to Artemis 2. Today you've made history and made all America really proud, incredibly proud. We have a lot of things to be proud of lately, but this is there's nothing like what you're doing, circling around the moon for the first time in more than a half a century and breaking the all-time record for the farthest distance from planet Earth. Humans have really never seen anything quite like what you're doing. Your mission paves the way for America's return to the lunar surface very soon. We're going all out. We're doing everything we can, and it's headed up by Jared. We'll plant our flag once again, and this time we won't just leave footprints. We'll establish a permanent presence on the moon, and we'll push on to Mars.
Clay, it's actually very exciting what's going on. I know there's a lot of focus on other things, but it's another small step for man, another man. You know what I mean? You know the quote. It's one of those.
Well, yeah, look, I know we said this yesterday, and every time I mention it, people are mad at me in the mentions. I think this is an awesome story. We have now sent humans farther from Earth than ever in the history of our civilization. That seems pretty awesome to me. And I understand people out there are not excited about the idea of trying to have a moon base or trying to colonize Mars. Some of you are not excited about that. I actually think it is incredibly important. Look, this country, if you want me to get on a soapbox, was founded on the idea of frontiers, of always going to the next horizon, of always trying to create something better than what came before it. I would say that is our national DNA. And that is why this country has thrived when other countries have collapsed. And I think exploration, now we have to explore in space, but certainly you can explore at the bottom of the oceans and you can explore at the top of the mountains. But I feel like we have a pretty good sense for what is now here on Earth. Space is the next exploration for humanity. And so I think extending what we're capable of is significant, to say nothing, Buck, of the fact that many of our great technological innovations come about by trying to press the horizon forward when it comes to humanity's being able to go into space. In other words, the space age fibers which we create legitimately aid us in many other different aspects of life here. And I believe, look, if this is me getting on my, kind of further soapbox, that SpaceX in particular and Starlink and all these other entities that are now space-based are going to make civilization on Earth much better. So I've been following Artemis 2. I think it is, we had last week Jared Isaacman on. I think this is a significant achievement for mankind, and I don't see it in this era where we're talking about what's going to happen in Iran. I think it's worth pausing and saying, hey, this is kind of a big deal. This is something we should all be proud of. And I think the astronauts themselves, we played Victor Glover the other day, I actually think they've been pretty eloquent advocates for the importance of space exploration, and many of their answers to, questions have gone viral as a result that are very positive.
Here is Trump continuing with his chat with the Artemis 2 crew. This is cut 10 from the Commander-in-Chief. Here he is.
I really look forward to when we can, I look forward to seeing you in the Oval Office. I'll ask Jared to bring you over, and I'll ask for your autograph, because I don't really ask for autographs much, but you deserve that. You really are something. Everybody's talking about this. And I look forward to having you in the Oval Office at the White House, and we will celebrate your incredible achievements and triumphs. This is big. This is really big stuff. The whole world is talking about it. And if you have the time, I will certainly find the time. I've been pretty busy also, as you know, but I will absolutely find the time, and we'll get together, and I'm going to be giving you a big salute on behalf of the American people and beyond that.
Thank you for that, Mr. President. And when you want us, we will be there.
Clay, one of the last groups, it seems, around, last occupations, last cultural heroes that feel like they're still a bipartisan high five can go out to them, and it is about the greatness of mankind and scientific achievement and exploration and whatever. Astronauts. I feel like people still like astronauts.
I think
like
that's
there
right.
hasn't been I don't know about people in lab coats who are like, turn and cough, give me your knee, let's check your reflexes. Ever since Fauci, doctors have gone in for some rough stuff, but astronauts people like.
That's a great question. I think astronauts probably number one. What are like the top 2 or 3 professions that people still hold in high esteem? Astronaut might be number one, where you just, I think military and police are still very high in the general population.
Cops are cops can go.
I think
very
cops
much
have
both
come
ways
back.
in our culture.
They've come back now after being attacked for a long time. I think military typically rate very highly. This is also fun. I don't know if you've seen some on social media. I saw a funny comment. I don't remember who to attribute it to, but it was very funny that the flat earthers are like the conspiracy. They're one of the few conspiracists to actually get blown up. It's hard to still be a flat earther. I think now that we've sent astronauts again and I think it was always hard.
I said this on the show. I said, what happens to all those guys now? What becomes
what do they move on to? I tell you what they're moving on to. They're saying that these are all fake.
Well, this is what they have to.
Yeah.
It's fake all over again. It's actually like wag the dog for Trump's Iran debacle or something like that. It has to be, because you can never, the thing about getting deep into the conspiracy is that the conspiracy can never end. The whole fun of it is that you have no accountability for being wrong, and you know something that no one else knows. There's always more information to prove that you're right. So the conspiracy can never be proven wrong.
So this is going to go dark, because I would say that was a lot of light.
We're trying to have a nice light.
We were having a lot of light and a lot of positivity about space. I think that, and I said this the other day in a public forum, and I don't know if it got picked up or not, but I think I've said it on the show before if I haven't. Some people should get bankrupted for the things that they say. And some of you out there are going to say, well, Clay, what about free speech? You can believe in free speech, but free speech does not mean that it's freedom from consequence. And some of the things that I see, online, and I'll use as an example, the idea, like if you made your entire world based on the idea that, hey, flat earth is going to exist. You mentioned the idea of, hey, the world's going to come to an end tomorrow. And you can get a lot of attention. People have done this for generations. They've said, hey, the world's going to end tomorrow. And then the day comes, world doesn't end. And then you get up the next day and unless you're pulling a Jonestown, you get everybody to commit suicide with you, which is a super dark, element of this.
Have we ever talked about the reasonableists on the show? I feel like I've mentioned this years and years ago, but I don't know if you and I were.
I don't think so. I don't know that.
Well, aren't you curious about the group known as the Reasonableists?
Yes.
And this is from the TV show Parks and Rec, which was, I think, an NBC sitcom, which I've seen. I saw all the episodes of it. There are some people who say that I even look like one of the actors from the show. And, I would disagree with that, but it is something that I hear. But that's a show, and there is a group that meets in the park that every year to celebrate the end of the world and like the aliens coming to take everybody. And they call themselves the Reasonableists because how can you argue with people who are the Reasonableists? But every year they have to, and this is like the joke on the show, every year they have to come up with why it wasn't the end of the world. And that's true of a lot of people in the conspiracy mindset. No matter what you provide to them, it's, oh, you're in on it. Oh, there's more. Oh, that's fake. And that's true of the flat earth, fake moon landing people as well. You'll never, the fun of the game is that they just get to make it up as they go along and they're smarter than everybody else, right? It's really more of a psychological posture than it is actually an analysis of what's real and what's not.
But when you are proven objectively to be wrong, and that objectively being wrong has no consequences for you, and even worse than that, it is rewarded because you make more money than you otherwise would. And I'm not talking about opinion, right? What should happen in Iran, that is largely opinion based, right? Everybody can have whatever opinion they want. But there are some things that are 1,000,000,000% untrue. For instance, today I saw, as I'm going around social media, it is now trending that Trump is responsible for Charlie Kirk being murdered. That is a new argument that is out there that some people are going to make a lot of money arguing in favor of. And I just look around, and you and I were talking about this off air, that I think these conspiracies on Charlie Kirk in particular have so taken root, Buck, that I'm saying this as if I was an attorney. His defense, this Tyler Robinson, I believe is his name, the charged killer of Charlie Kirk, his defense is going to come out of this internet cesspool, and it is going to be that he was set up. And they are going to argue in front of the courts and everything else, I didn't do this. I was set up. It was Donald Trump. It was Israel. It was Erica Kirk. It was all these different people that clearly had nothing to do with Charlie Kirk's assassination. And there is such a feverdom in the social media space that there is going to be an actual murder defense that is rooted on these lies. And Buck, here's what's scary to me. It might work. There might be.
Well, all you need is
person.
One member of that jury who is a self-conspiracist.
That's right.
And believes this stuff. I get people, the stuff that's proliferating on the internet on the right these days. I'm going to tell you guys this. My book, and I'm sorry, Clay. Clay's been very patient with me pushing the book all the time. But I mean, they dropped the price recently, Clay. Manufacturing Delusion.
No, it's a great deal. Even better.
One part of the book, though, that in retrospect, people ask me, can this affect the right? The stuff that I talk about, which has completely overtaken the left, okay? And we go through, and then Clay and I talk about this on a daily basis on the show. The men and women sports things and the climate change, which you don't really hear about very much anymore, but it's like the biggest threat in the world. And all the Fauci, vaccine, take it or you're going to die madness, all these things. The left went nuts, okay? And the left made itself nuts, and that's a big thing. People ask me, Clay, they say, can the same stuff happen on the right? And the answer is, yeah, it's happening. It didn't really happen when I was writing the book, which is why it's not in there, but I might have to come back to this now and be like, hey guys, this can be a problem on our side too. People can manufacture delusions on the right as well. And when you're having people say that Donald Trump had one of his, and somebody who was effectively like an adopted son to him, you know what? I can't even say it on the air. Can't even say it. It's like too gross to even say, honestly. It's just so.
But I think it is at some point, there are no consequences, and worse than consequences, there's actually reward for insanity, in media. And I think it's now the fever pitch there is going to legitimately lead to a defense in a court is going to be, he didn't do it. This was all one big conspiracy. And my concern is that one of the 12 jurors in Utah is going to be susceptible to this argument and might well buy it.
Do you remember the Westboro Baptist Church?
Oh, yeah.
Were just the disgusting, just slovenly, moral, cretin mess of the Westboro. And they would show up at soldiers' funerals and say the worst imaginable things. Now, do they have a First Amendment right? Where are they? Are they on private property? But on the roads or something? Yeah, they have a First Amendment right. But it was such a clearly disgusting thing. People that are saying that Charlie Kirk, that people who were either his wife or his dear friends or the Trump administration had anything to do with it's up there with Westboro Baptist Church stuff. It is. It's that level of like, come on. That's just disgusting. So, people have said, why don't we get into this? Because we don't want to get into the muck. We want to talk about what's really happening. but I mean, Clay's telling me this is trending right now on
Yes.
Twitter. Guys, now, I don't need to say this to any of you because you're listening to us because you don't like the crazy idiocy. You like real people with real thoughts who are leading happy and successful lives, who appreciate and love all of you and want to bring you the truth. But there's a lot of nonsense out there right now on the right. There's a lot of it. You got to watch out. It's not just the other team. Okay, look, we're online shoppers, Carrie and I, big time, and she gets Costco whenever she can, but online shopping is something that is, in our blood, you could say. In fact, we're buying plants for our home online from a website that we love, fastgrowingtrees.com. Not just because they have a larger selection and guarantee that comes with that purchase, but because the team at Fast Growing Trees knows which plants and trees will grow best in South Florida. For that matter, they know what grows best in every zip code in the U.S. If you're thinking of planting new trees in your yard this spring, or shrubs, even plants, Fast Growing Trees will get you the very best versions of them. And Fast Growing Trees online nursery gives you the size and scale and the knowledge of many of the best horticulturalists in the nation. They've got over 2 million happy customers, and I am among them. So is Carrie, so is Clay, so is Laura. Everything you order is backed by their Alive and Thrive guarantee. Go to fastgrowingtrees.com. Use my name, Buck, as your promo code to get 20% off what you purchase. That's fastgrowingtrees.com. Promo code Buck for 20% off.
Support for the show comes from Public, the investing platform for those who take it seriously. On Public, you can build a multi-asset portfolio of stocks, bonds, options, crypto, and now generated assets, which allow you to turn any idea into an investable index with AI. It all starts with your prompt. From renewable energy companies with high free cash flow to semiconductor suppliers growing revenue over 20% year over year, you can literally type any prompt and put the AI to work. It screens thousands of stocks, builds a one-of-a-kind index, and lets you backtest it against the S&P 500. Then you can invest in a few clicks. Generated assets are like ETFs with infinite possibilities, completely customizable and based on your thesis, not someone else's. Go to public.com/podcast and earn an uncapped 1% bonus when you transfer your portfolio. That's public.com/podcast. Paid for by Public Investing. Brokerage services by Open to the Public Investing Inc. Member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services by Public Advisors LLC, SEC registered advisor. Generated assets is an interactive analysis tool. Output is for informational purposes only and is not an investment recommendation or advice. Complete disclosures available at public.com/disclosures.
Tired of spills and stains on your sofa? Wash away your worries with Anabay. Anabay is the only machine washable sofa inside and out, where designer quality meets budget-friendly prices. That's right, sofas start at just $699. Enjoy a no-risk experience with pet-friendly, stain-resistant, and changeable slip covers made with performance fabric. Experience cloud-like comfort with high-resilience foam that's hypoallergenic and never needs fluffing. The sturdy steel frame ensures longevity, and the modular pieces can be rearranged anytime. Shop washablesofas.com for up to 60% off site-wide, backed by a 30-day satisfaction guarantee. If you're not absolutely in love, send it back for a full refund. No return shipping or restocking fees. Every penny back. Upgrade now at washablesofas.com. Offers are subject to change, and certain restrictions may apply.
Get ready for the wildest sight your lawn has ever seen. Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. This spring, unleash soil science like never before. Witness your custom lawn plan and the transformation to a soft green paradise.
Sorry, just trying to get your attention. Sunday is a boringly simple way to get a green, healthy yard. No harsh stuff, no big trucks, no chaos. Order today and get your custom Sunday yard plan for the season ahead. Sunday, smarter lawn care for less. GetSunday.com.
This is Martha Stewart from the Martha Stewart Podcast. Ever wonder how to make hosting look effortless? Here's a secret. Getting ahead of the mess with new Reynolds Kitchens countertop prep paper. Just lightly wet the counter beforehand so the paper grips and stays in place. Then lay down the Reynolds Kitchens countertop prep paper so drips and spills stay on the paper, not all over your kitchen counter. You can roll out dough, prep a party spread, or cook alongside family. When you're done, cleanup is as simple as lifting the paper and revealing that clean counter underneath. Effortless. You can use it for cooking and baking prep and even crafting, especially when you need extra working space. Because when the mess is already handled, you can focus on what matters: the food, the people, and the moment. It may look effortless, but now you know it's Reynolds Kitchens countertop prep paper. Take a tip from me, wet it, set it. Prep it, done. Make it easy. Make it with Reynolds Kitchens countertop prep paper. Available now in the Reynolds Wrap aisle in Walmart.
Welcome back into Clay and Buck. We are joined now by the Secretary of Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Mr. Secretary, great to have you on the program. Thanks for making the time for us.
Thank you very, very much for having me.
You got two guys here who are middle-aged, got kids, and trying to up their health game in a big way. So I'm going to tell you, we are, and this audience is, very dialed in to the Maha agenda. Can I just first ask you, because, look, we got a war in Iran, we got some big things happening. Haven't heard that much about what's going on from your side of the equation, from Maha world lately. Can you bring everyone up to speed with what has been done in 2026, or what are the biggest wins so far since you've taken the helm at HHS that people need to know about?
Well, I mean, last week alone, we got agreements from from hospitals around the country to begin giving hospital patients real food instead of the terrible stuff, the appalling food that they feed you in hospitals. We sent out a letter to all the hospitals saying that they could not collect Medicare and Medicaid funding unless they started giving good food to their patients. We also announced a comprehensive new program on addressing microplastics in the society. And the biggest accomplishments, I think, over the last year were flipping the food pyramid, getting real food back on the American guideline. You know, the government has been lying to the American people for 60 years with dietary guidelines that were written by food industry lobbyists to encourage us to eat ultra-processed foods and highly refined carbohydrates. As a result of that, we now have the sickest population in the world from chronic disease. 77% of American kids cannot qualify for military service. When my uncle was president, we were spending zero on chronic disease. Today, we spend $4.3 trillion. It's 90% of our healthcare spending, and it is all preventable. And most of it is food-induced. 70% of the American calories now, the average American, are coming from ultra-processed food, and it's just poisoning us. The obesity rates in kids have gone from 3 to 5% when I was a kid to 20 to 30% today, and in adults, it's 70% are obese or overweight. And so it's a national security issue. It's crushing our economy, and it's destroying the lives of our children. And the new dietary guidelines are the biggest are going to change dietary culture in this country, because it's changed what people eat in the SNAP program and the WICS program, school lunches. It's changing already what the military eats. It's changing Indian health services, all of them, hundreds of millions of dollars a day in food subsidies that we give out. Now those programs have to align themselves with the new dietary guidelines. We've gotten rid of, by the end of the year, we should have gotten rid of all of the petroleum-based food dyes, all 9 synthetic food dyes in our food. We are doing the first nutritional and contaminant regulations and testing of baby formula. We're changing the GRAS standard, which is generally recognized as safe. This is a loophole that EPA or FDA created and was captured by the food industry, so that any chemical that food companies want to put in our food, they can do it without testing, without even telling us what's in it. We have now approximately 10,000 chemicals in our food. Nobody even knows what they are, and nobody's seen safety testing on almost any of them. In Europe, they only have so food companies will no longer be at loophole.
I think
I have a long list of other things. We're ending animal testing. We've got we did the MFN negotiations, the most favored nation status, which is going to give us the cheapest. We had for the last 30 years the most expensive pharmaceuticals in the world in our country. We have 4.2% of the population, but 75% of pharmaceutical industry revenues and profits come from America. People in Europe pay a tiny fraction of what we do, but for the same drug produced in the same factory in New Jersey. For example, when I took office, the list price for Ozempic in our country was $1,350. You could get the exact same drug in any pharmacy in London for $88. And this is the norm across. Now we are going to be paying in our country the cheapest price for every drug. And that is going to dramatically change the cost of medicine here and improve people's health. I could go on.
No, this is all fantastic. Question for you. And I think this has to do with a big picture issue. And I think it's one reason you're in the administration now, which I'm sure several years ago you never would have been able to forecast. Buck and I are still very angry over what happened during COVID. It's been 6 years. And it seems like that has come and gone in a hurry. And a lot of people just want to turn the page and pretend it never happened. But I think it's hard for a lot of Americans to trust the government on health after what happened to us during COVID. Do you still feel that? How do you get that trust back when so many people are still angry about the lies that they were told, that we were all told by the government back then?
Yeah, I mean, the only way to, and you're right, we're seeing in polls that trust for the CDC was at 70% before COVID, and it had already gone down substantially because of the opioid crisis. So that was another lie that everybody, Americans first became aware that their health agencies were actually,
captured.
Captured and promoting the mercantile ambitions of pharmaceutical companies rather than public health. During COVID, half of America realized, okay, we're being lied to, systematically lied to by our public health agencies. And so trust has gone from 70% to a little less than 40%. And the only way that you regain trust is by making the agencies trustworthy. And that's what we are doing. We are being honest with people the first time about what we know, what we don't know. We are changing all the websites to make sure that people know, that there are risks to certain medicines and certain interventions, and that they have open eyes about what those risks are. And we just stop lying to people, and that is the only way over the long term that you're going to regain trust.
We're speaking to HHS Secretary RFK Jr. and Mr. Secretary, I'm down here in South Florida. I think you actually were on the beach here working out not long ago. I think I saw that on the Muscle Beach here. It's a great place, very, very health conscious. And actually Miami is trying to become the health and wellness capital of the world. That's now a stated thing. So I'm in the epicenter of this right now. And one thing that people talk about a ton, and I'm sure you get this, is I know peptide is just a name for a chain of amino acids, but people, GLP-1s are a peptide, which are changing health for millions of people as we know it. There's peptides like BPC 157. All this stuff is out there. It's out there in large numbers. People are taking it, using it. Some say it's great. Some say it does nothing. How can the FDA catch up with some of this to where usage is? Because the usage is everywhere down here and in a lot of other places. And the FDA is like, oh, we don't know. Good luck.
Yeah, well, here's what happened. There were 19 commonly used peptides, the most commonly used one, including BPC 157 and a bunch of others that you're probably familiar with, that were in a category that were put in a category where formulation pharmacies could make them for individuals. They couldn't mass market them. FDA regulates products that are mass marketed for a specific indication. So for heart attacks or for obesity or whatever. But it doesn't regulate nutritional supplements. And it's not supposed to regulate personalized medicine by formulation pharmacies. Those pharmacies are there so that if patients have specific needs that are not fulfilled by a mass-marketed drug, that the formulator can make up a special drug for that patient. And that is the category that peptides were being marketed on up until the Biden administration. The Biden administration, we believe, illegally took 19 of those most popular peptides and put them in Category 2, which makes it illegal to market them. The FDA has the ability to move it to Category 2, but only if they find a safety signal, and they did not have a safety signal on those. And so now, as you pointed out, we have a gray market and a gray market and a black market where Americans are being forced to buy these products from, in many cases, unethical formulators. There are many ethical ones out there, but unethical ones. We're getting them from unknown sources, and they're allowed to sell them for animals, for research purposes. They're not allowed to technically sell them for human use.
Right, for research only. I've seen the sites, yeah.
Right, and that's where you're getting your peptides today. You're getting them from one of those black market formulators. And we've made the argument, and of course there is resistance within, EPA or FDA by some of the career people. We've made the argument that we should move them back into a category where they can be studied, where they're going to be, where we know what the source is. They're coming from legitimate formulators who are getting them from FDA-inspected labs. Those labs may be in India, they may be in China, or manufacturing facilities. But they're FDA-inspected. And we think that's the most sensible way to do it, and then look for a safety signal. And if there is one, then you move it. But if there's not one, then you don't move it. And that's the way the law is supposed to work, and we're trying to return it to that.
Last question for you. HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. on with us. We're talking about the impact of the first year and a half as we come up on it of Trump. What would HHS look like in your mind if Kamala Harris had won? How much different would our health systems look, and how much would the Maha movement in your mind be struggling immensely? Can you contextualize how much of a difference there is just based on who ended up winning the election?
Well, I don't think that there was any impulse to change things. It's not just Maha. I mean, we've dramatically changed the trajectory so that we're now focused. NIH is doing research on vaccines, on the etiology of all these chronic diseases. Where are they coming from? Is it high fructose corn syrup? We have no idea. Why? Because the Biden administration, nobody else ever did those studies. It was regulatory malpractice. Is it from the food dyes? Is it coming from all of these other ingredients? What are the ingredients that are triggering chronic disease, destroying our metabolic health? None of that was happening. And now our agencies, FDA, CDC, HHS, are all laser focused on finding out what's causing the epidemic and then eliminating those exposures. And there's other things. I mean, the corruption in the agency grew over the 4 years of the Biden administration by 38%. We had over 100 communications departments. We had over 40 procurement departments. We had 10 people doing every job. And then they stopped doing program integrity. So you saw South Florida, for example, where you are, there's an entire racket that is run by the Cuban government of durable medical equipment, of these companies supposedly selling wheelchairs and knee braces, but all they have is lists of patients. They charge Medicaid for them. We found one hotel that had 129 rooms, and every one of them was a durable medical equipment company. There are 2 times the number of durable medical equipment companies in South Florida as there are McDonald's. And most of them don't sell anything. They're just there to steal from the federal government. And the Biden administration, when it came in, got rid of the program integrity department, so we had no capacity to catch the fraudsters. They cut it down from 80 people to 6 for all 50 states, 6 territories, and it'll
Mr. Secretary, this is all super important and super fast. We are running into a hard break right this second, so I have to say, please keep what you're doing, and please come back and talk to it. We would love to have you on. You know, if you'd have us, if you do a monthly update for this audience on what you're doing, it's so important, and there's so much to cover. Thank you for what you're doing, and thank you for being here. We got to leave it there for now. There should be more than one Mother's Day on the calendar each year, but until it happens, we should go big to say thank you so many times over. Cozy Earth has a way of saying thank you with a 2-for-1 offer on their very popular pajama sets. This Mother's Day, put Cozy Earth's bamboo pajama set at the top of your gift list. It can be the perfect gift, lightweight but still cozy, incredibly soft, and they actually help moms stay cool through the night without overheating. Right now, they're doing something they rarely do, a buy one, get one free deal for a limited time. Plus, there's the 100-night sleep trial, by the way. These same bamboo pajamas are so popular, they're sold out during the holidays, but they're back with an exclusive deal only available through this Sunday. Go online to CozyEarth.com. Username Buck is your promo code. That's CozyEarth.com. Username Buck is your promo code. And the post-purchase survey, say you heard about him on The Clay and Buck Show.
News, politics, sports, and a little fun thrown in there, too. Clay and Buck. It's a whole vibe.
Life gets messy. Spills, stains, pet accidents, and kid chaos. But with Anabay, cleaning up is easy. Our sofas are fully machine washable, inside and out, so you never have to stress about messes again. Made with liquid and stain-resistant fabrics, that means fewer stains and more peace of mind. Designed for real life, our sofas feature changeable fabric covers, allowing you to refresh your style anytime. Need flexibility? Our modular design lets you rearrange your sofa effortlessly. Perfect for cozy apartments or spacious homes. Plus, they're earth-friendly and built to last. That's why over 200,000 happy customers have made the switch. Upgrade your space today. Sofas start at just $699. Visit washablesofas.com now and bring home a sofa made for life. That's washablesofas.com. Offers are subject to change and certain restrictions may apply.
We've been duped, hoodwinked, conned for 50 years. The lawn care industry sold us toxins in a bag and made our yards more toxic than a bad relationship. Sunday helps you ditch the chemicals and feed your lawn the good stuff. Soybean proteins, iron, seaweed, molasses. Ingredients that get your soil giggling like an overserved mom at the block party. Sunday uses clean ingredients in real science for thicker, greener grass. Order today and get your custom Sunday yard plan for the season ahead. Sunday, for a smarter, healthier yard. GetSunday.com.
This is Martha Stewart from the Martha Stewart Podcast. Ever wonder how to make hosting look effortless? Here's a secret. When prepping for cooking and baking, get ahead of the mess with new Reynolds Kitchens countertop prep paper. Just lightly wet the counter so the paper grips. Lay it down, and drips and spills stay on the paper, not on your counter. Cleanup is as simple as lifting it away to reveal clean counters. Effortless? It is, thanks to Reynolds Kitchens countertop prep paper. Wet it, set it, prep it, done. Available in the Reynolds Wrap aisle at Walmart.
These days, it seems like AI agents are just about everywhere you turn, every field and every function. But without identity, you can't trust they'll serve your business instead of jeopardizing it. Fortunately, Okta helps you get identity right by securing your AI agents' identities, giving you a single layer of control, a single standard of trust. So whether an AI agent supports a single user or your entire enterprise, with Okta, you'll turn risk into opportunity. Secure every agent. Secure any agent. Okta secures AI.